Alright, the first thing we want to do is to import data into Excel. So under the Import Data tab, the goal is to import the apple.csv file. In most software nowadays, there exists an import data wizard. And in Excel, you can find it under the data. And then we have a couple of different import wizards depending on the data format we want to import. In this case, we want to import a .csv file, so we want to import from a text CSV file here. Before I do that, I just want to mention that importing data in software is usually much more cumbersome than one might believe. In most cases, data is very messy and you need to clean it up before you can use it. However, in Excel, it's even more cumbersome. And that is because depending on which version, which language, and which region your particular Excel is from, the import steps will be different. So I can only show you what works on my system, but expect to see differences in your own system, which means that you probably need to go online and search for your particular issue with this particular data file. So it's a bit frustrating in Excel because it's not consistent between regions and languages, which is insane in my opinion. With that said, let's now try to import this dataset. So I'm going to import it from the .csv wizard. I'm going to find the apple.csv file on my hard drive. I'm just going to import the apple.csv file, and it's going to bring up this import wizard window. Hopefully it has picked good options already, so I can just click load. So usually I just try to click load the first time and see if it works. Now I directly notice an issue though, and that is I have a Swedish version of Excel, which means that my decimal delimiter is not a dot. My decimal delimiter is a comma. So I don't think this is a number right now. To check this, I'm gonna highlight a random cell, write an equal sign, click this cell, and then just try to multiply it with 2 and see if it's a number. And since I did get an error now, it implies that this is not a number right now in my system. It's probably a text value. So I need to switch all the dots into commas. And the easiest way to do that is to go up under Find and Select and click Replace. I want to find all dots and replace them with comma signs. I'm going to click Replace All, and hopefully this became a number now. And as we can notice now, this calculation went through. I'm going to delete this column because that was just a check for a number. However, in this particular data set, these prices are not adjusted for stock splits and buybacks. So to fix this, we need to check, okay, how do we clean up this particular data? And that is we need to adjust the price. So we're going to create a new price vector or a price column where we're going to take the price divided by the adjustment factor. So I'm going to go back to the new sheet we just created. So I'm going to put an equal sign. I'm going to take the old price and divide it with the adjustment factor. I push enter, and we now get a new column with the adjusted prices. So I'm just going to rename this to adjusted price. And depending on which data you're using, you always need to read how is this particular data set up. So when I want to use prices over time, this is the column I should use because these prices are not adjusted for stock splits and buybacks. Finally, there's one more thing I just want to show in Excel before we start doing the linear algebra part. And that is how dates are formatted in Excel. So I'm just going to highlight these numbers, right click, and then format cells. And format cells is quite good function to know about because that's a way we can change how the cells are treated in Excel. So I want to switch these numbers into dates. So I'm going to highlight date and then just click OK. And then we notice that the number 1 becomes the first day in 1900, and then 2 is the second day in 1900, and so on and so forth. And this is a very common way that dates are created in software. And depending on which type of date format you're using, they have different starting points and different ways the numbers are converted to dates. But note here that a particular day in Excel is actually not a number in the background, and this just happened to show a readable date for us humans. but there is a number in the background that actually produces this particular date.